A good evening and warm welcome to the proposed new lecture series, the title for which is displayed on the board, a lecture series on engineering for the future. The date also, you look carefully, it is 5th September 2021, that is the Teachers' Day today. I will explain the modalities of this series, its explain objectives and outcomes, but before that I will try to tell the reason for which this activity is being initiated. Just as every year, with 5th September being observed as Teachers' Day in our country, and because of the what we can say media explosion, pouring of messages of Teachers' Day started coming in right from the midnight. Based on those messages, when I decided to introspect whether as a teacher am I still relevant, have I remained still relevant for the student community. The relevance is obviously decided by some other kind of exclusiveness. If I have become redundant, then I am not relevant. Therefore, as this thinking pinched my mind that conventional lecturing, completing of the course is already going on, but it's necessary for a teacher today. But the question is it sufficient for a teacher to be recognized as teacher by the students? And apart from all this recognition and all these things, whether he is able to convince himself that he is doing some meaningful activity for which he is being appointed, he has chosen that as a profession. When I thought it was very perturbing, and therefore I decided that in addition to all regular activities, I must do something which is of some significance for student community at large. So I have decided now, from today, that is the Teachers' Day of the year 2021, I will be meeting the students on YouTube channel with now the interaction, the time duration for a single lecturing session, not interactive, it can be at some other occasion, but the time duration for which students, even if they are presumed to be quite sincere and interested, can have a focused listening in a concentrated manner is hardly half an hour. Therefore, I have decided that from today onwards, on every weekday, today is Sunday, so it is a starting occasion, and then onwards, on every weekday from Monday to Friday, I will put a YouTube link for a half an hour session, which I will try my level best to ensure that it is relevant for student community at large, and it is across the disciplines, for every discipline, for an engineering student, or not even actually, in new education policy you will find that various branches, science and engineering are converging. So it's a session which would be very much meaningful for a general science and engineering student, and that I will upload, and I expect you to spend your time, half an hour you can find, and I am sure that for a few days students will listen it because I tell, because I carry some reputation, so student may watch it. But beyond that, it is challenge before me to make it meaningful so that students watch it by interest, not because somebody tells them. So on every weekday, half an hour session in which I will explain, and it will be completely technical session. Means if the information exchange in the entire session would be highly scientific and technical, no general discussion. Otherwise, you will find in today's world there are many general thinkers. Everybody can think right from what Biden should do to deal with the Afghanistan situation. So that is not our focus. We will not be diverting from mere scientific and technical focus. No philosophical, what we can say, divergence. And along with what I actually tell, I will give you some list of activities and list of further readings. There is no point in reinventing the wheel. Today, the information availability is to such an extent that the role of the few decades back, the role of the teacher was to provide the information to students. Now, in the form of actual lecturing, in the form of notes, etc. Now, to a large extent, the role and job is simplified. He should shortlist, because if students decide to go through everything, either reading or listening and watching, then it would be consuming their huge time, quality time. So, what I will do, I will give you sufficient material which is available in what we can say open domain, so that you can store it separately with some your storage and you can read it later. And I will be also assigning some activities which you can think of. Today being introductory session, I will just take a recap of the things of what engineering is, how branches are converging, and what today's student, what are the challenges before today's student. The challenges before today's student are multifold, and he has to work and rigor hard to be relevant. Today's engineering graduates should think of their career which will span at least up to 2050. Today's engineering students who would be graduating in 2022, 2023 and so on should think of 1/4 century, a 25-year span, at least I am saying, I am not saying that it would be, career would be over by that time, but for a meaningful 1/4 century career which would be spanning from 2025 to 2050, one or two years here and there, and you even cannot imagine what would be the changes which, then there is nothing in your hand. When computers were introduced in India in 1980s, that time there was one kind of opposition that computers should not be there, that will create more unemployment. And it was slowed down to some extent, but now there is no way with which you can stop invasion of technology. Especially I am talking about AI based systems, few people who think on morality have tried to argue, tried to put a ban on AI technology. Whether AI technology today is like some kind of atomic bomb technology is also being debated. So, this is just I am telling, not in a philosophical manner, but the way in which we are moving towards. I will just give you the significance of computer. Many of you may be knowing Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. It was in 1960s. India did not sign that. That the technology for atomic fission and fusion should not be handed over except a club of few elite countries, was that NPT. Then now you might have forgotten that name, CTBT. In 1996, India again refused to sign that. It is Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty. What was that? 1960s to 1996, a span of 25 years. Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty was that of actual technology for nuclear fission and fusion that was expected to be banned. And then CTBT, Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty in 1996. This was for stopping the simulation tests, simulation programs of nuclear fission and fusion. So that is the comprehensive test. Means it was NPT was already signed. The new idea was not for preventing actual nuclear test. India conducted first in 1974 and next in 1998. That is a different, what we can say, international political story. But we are not going into that. Please remember that what advancement the computational technology has made from 70s to 90s, that a computer program should not be developed which will simulate the nuclear test. And IAEA, it is an international organization which is a watchdog on such atomic technologies, was handed over the task to visit, inspect various countries. Iran refused that. So what I am telling, that was the technological progress, and if it happens against the interest of the mankind, that should have been banned. Like this, artificial intelligence is going to grow to such an extent, and now when the technology was only in few hands, the question of banning, controlling it was being talked about. But now it has expanded and it has gone in the hands of many. Therefore, banning a technology is something which is ruled out. The moral policing and such moral controls will no longer remain. Therefore, what I say is, change is inevitable, and you have to be ready for the change, and if you are not ready, you will be thrown out. You will be thrown out. So, to be a meaningful engineering professional of the future, you have to acquaint yourself with the necessary skill set. necessary domain expertise. Now, what are the revolutionary changes in engineering? One can argue there is not a universal, what we can say, agreement, but by and large, invention of wheel. So, we will focus that discussion so that in addition to your regular academics which you pursue, this booster dose, you might be now aware that in COVID pandemic, vaccination, one is a single dose or 2 doses, and now a top of booster dose, that is the third dose, maybe after 6 months is being talked about. So like that, along with your regular academics, this you take as a booster dose, a daily session, and obviously it is a recorded session. So if you are unable to watch it because of some your preoccupation, you can match it with self-paced. And again, what I said, that no huge bombardment, a half an hour session a day which you can watch, and some assignments which you can comfortably complete, so that this booster dose will make you a competent engineer for the future. Competent engineer for the future. It is irrespective of discipline. And to be very clear and precise, that the computer have invaded human life, that everything which computes, and so Android phone which is with everybody now is a computer, and it's a computing tool, it is having computational capacity, and we must be able to be cope up with it. We cannot now think of, means in the context of move towards the nature, we cannot boycott these things and live in isolation. That is ruled out. So we are not talking about any philosophical decision, but the crux is that to be a meaningful and relevant professional of tomorrow, you must spend time. Today means it is not that you will be in Valchan, you will be surely getting placed, but that is something which is not sufficient for a whole career now. So as to be meaningful, the world has become hectic. There is huge stress of working, for which you should be ready about. And from now onwards, I'd say that this booster dose, listening to lecture and doing the activities will definitely give you a good immunity. Why I say immunity? Because of the technological attacks. Means if you are thinking of a cool career in your life, once graduated and placed, to do something here and there, that is not going to happen. You will be attacked by technological inventions, and that will invade you, and you need a protection to deal it effectively. So the booster dose which you would be getting daily will increase your immunity so as to cope up with the invasions. So the first technological invention which changed, that is a situation prior and situation later, just like the COVID pandemic, pre-COVID and post-COVID are two different worlds. Pre-COVID and post-COVID are two different worlds. Like that, first was invention of wheel. First was invention of wheel. That is the disruptive technology. Disruptive means it completely shakes the world and transforms it totally. So invention of wheel made the things totally different, prior and later. Then second was too late that way, that was the invention of electricity. Means electricity, that is the lightning that was there, but electricity in the present form. So I say in the current electricity. I am just telling that it is not static. Static electricity is different. There is a relationship, but right now we don't go into those details. So electricity. So with this, entire things changed. Even that the mechanical technology of IC engines, which was there along with it. So this I can say to A and B. But this electricity just made over this IC engines. It remained relevant to a restricted extent, but this electricity is very significant. This changed the world. Then the third is invention of microprocessors, that is in 1960s. In the 1960s, and remember that, see, everybody must know that this invention of microprocessors made computer realizable in practice. What it did, it was in 1960s. But remember that it was von Neumann. It was von Neumann in 1946 has thought of a computer. So computer, however powerful it may be, it's a human thought, and it was von Neumann who had thought that there would be a central processing unit which would be accessing memory through address bus, data bus and control bus, and perform various computational operations. That time digital technology and microprocessors using IC technology were not invented. There were some computers using mechanical parts, but remember that von Neumann has thought something which was not at all realizable. So ability to think today, which does not have a realization right now, which may or may not be realized in future. It is not fiction. It is something which neither a fiction nor a realization, but a postulate based on sound logical, analytical and mathematical footing. So this is what von Neumann has thought. So these microprocessors realized computers which were envisaged in 1946 by von Neumann. And then obviously with IC technology, Moore's law, the chips, what we can say, the capacity getting doubled every 18 months, there was huge advancement. and computers were enhanced in all capacities multiple times, right from Intel 408, we forget about previous one, 8085 to Pentium. 8085 to Pentium was a travel of a quarter century. But the next breakthrough, that is the fourth breakthrough, is what we can say, not only internet, but I will take it as a connectivity, right from internet to your cell phone with Android. So next is connectivity, wired internet, then wireless mobile, then mobile with data, and today's Android with net connectivity. Everybody knows, no need to tell. So fourth is connectivity, and then fifth and last as of today is AI. It includes, even though they are separate, AI, ML and data science. These are somewhat separate, somewhat connected. AI, ML and data science. So, wheel, electricity, IC engines, microprocessors, connectivity, you are aware of, and then this one. So, each and every sector in human life is now invaded by this technology. And therefore now the question is what I should do. The question, if an individual is lazy, then he can kill time. There are now many nicer ways of killing time which were not there earlier. He is lazy. If you can afford to be lazy, you are in the best possible time frame of the world, time frame of your, what we can say, this world. There's so many avenues for you to kill time. But if you don't afford to be lazy, then you have to be quite choosy on what is to be done. It is just what I say, listen very carefully. Means many years back, suppose if there is one person who is inherited huge, what we can say, assets. So he can just spend his entire life in a relaxed manner. He can get all his livelihood very easily. But whereas for averager, he has to rigor and he has to work. The assets in financial terms now has changed now to time. A person who is in a comfortable position can waste time, whereas a person who is not so comfortable, moderate, average, and aims at bright future has to invest time effectively. It's just like in your parent generation, people used to say, you are having limited earning, don't waste money, don't spend money, save money for the future, invest money for the future. Like that, for today's generation, you have to invest time. You cannot think of wasting time. You have to be so passionate that you should always be in one of the 6 states. either listen or talk of technology, or read or write of technology, or think and dream of technology. So in either of these three pairs, you must always be there. Remember that the benzene ring was invented in dream. Benzene ring was invented in dream. Like that, you should be always connected with technology. Something must go in your brain at conscious and subconscious level. The only exception where you should stop thinking is when you are driving your own vehicle. Except that, otherwise that would be disastrous. Except that period, you should always connected with the technological things at forefront or background mode. So it's very huge, and there are so many, and we are again, see, we are just focusing on core technological things, no philosophy. Technological things, its applications in a practical world, maybe financial disciplines, maybe managerial disciplines, how what domain skills I must embed in myself so that tomorrow I become relevant. Now, one will say, oh, things are so advanced, how everyone will become relevant? How everyone will become relevant? If competition is always there is always, because at the top there would be people of different capabilities, but the growth, just like it is said that the entropy of the world is infinite, like that the growth potential of the world is infinite, and it will allow everybody to grow further. So there will not be any, what we can say, growth congestion. Means you will not be deprived of the opportunity. Whatever may be there, still there is a further growth potential. What is information? What is information? I am trying to analyze the disorder. Listen very carefully. What is information? If there is no dissimilarity, everything is same, then there is no information. We will deal with that. That is the information content, all that, entropy, or again are very focused domains. But what is information? You try to analyze disorder in the world. So, just like energy, finite, infinite, what will happen? Will it be a saturated, what we can say, in chemistry, if you deeply analyze, entropy is a very complex term. Like that, in our computers, the data, its utility and its information, what I should do, there is infinite capacity, and definitely there is opportunity for everybody. So the only thing is that you should not leave yourself behind. You must come in the main flow, and the world is made for you if and only if you utilize your time effectively. Now, one should say that, see, if you are well to do, there is no need for you to work to earn your livelihood. Still, whether the challenges don't attract you, say today, Bill Gates, Ambani's, why they still rigor and work? Do they keep just quiet and relaxed? They work for a better tomorrow. for themselves and maybe for the others. Again, we are not going into the philosophical discussion whether Narayana Murthy's dome model is appropriate or whether Ambani model is appropriate. Only thing is what I say, that irrespective of your family background, you must invest your time so that you excel from what you are today after your career finishes meaningfully up by spending a quarter century. You can excel, you can continue beyond that, but you must start investing your time in meaningful activities, which we will discuss in this lecture series, a half an hour session every day with some activities given. So today the activity I would like to give you is, see, again I say that it is irrespective of disciplines. It is irrespective of disciplines. Every engineering student will need it. Every engineering student will need it. And today's we are coming to end of today's session because it is more than 35 minutes. Today's activity for you is to just have Google search. There are many things what I will give. You can just have a Google von Neumann architecture, and also Google there is a so to a large extent the world is very much kind. On Google you will give some search, you will get the various websites, and most popular are available at the top. So you just can have a small reading. So von Neumann architecture, you can have small reading. Those who are in electrical, electronics, computer, IT related things should focus it more. Civil mechanical students can have just a small review. So our discussions every day would be across disciplines. I will give some assignments or in the activity to be performed, and that time I will explain who should do it in a more focused manner, in depth, and who should do it in breadth. That is what we can say broader level. So this von Neumann architecture is the activity for today. So today we have started this new series, and what I said that the purpose for beginning this series for me is to be relevant. I should satisfy myself that I am relevant, and I am sure that these lectures will be meaningful. You must have patiently listened this lecture. From tomorrow onwards, I would be making it more, what we can say, today's was also not a general, but from tomorrow it will be more technologically intensive. It's a complete scientific, analytical, mathematical and technological session in discussion, and also the activities to be assigned. So I hope in today's introduction session it is enough. We have almost taken 40 minutes. We end now today. Thank you.